Welcome back, everybody. Today we are at Kristoff Landing. This is on the Chipola River watershed, and we're going to put in here and we're going to go up to Bellamy Bridge. It's a historical site and a little bit of a haunted story behind it, and we may try to go down to another little Blue Springs today. So let's check out the Chipola and see what it looks like today, and you can come along with us. Coming into Kristoff Landing is mostly a dirt road, and there's not a lot of parking out here as well. They do have one covered picnic table, a couple of park benches, and that's really about it. The boat ramp is decent, and it's 7:59, 8 o'clock right now, and no one's out here. It's fairly clean, I would say. You know, there is some trash out here that needs to be picked up. They do have trash containers, but there is some on the ground. Water looks nice out here though. So at least at this time of the day, on a Saturday in the summer, there's no one out here but me. Water's pretty clear. A little bit muddy, but not too bad. I wanted to show this because immediately as you put in on the boat ramp, the creek will split off into two branches, and this is north of the boat ramp, by the way. And if you want to go see Bellamy Bridge, you'll take the right for it. I haven't been down there yet, so I don't know, what the creek is actually going to look like as far as trees down and stuff like that. There may be some, but we'll cross that bridge, so to speak, when we get there. When you cross that, when you take that right fork and you continue on just a little piece, it'll bring you out into the main area of the Chipola River. And to be honest with you, it's not the current right now. I mean, we haven't had any rain, any significant rain in probably 2 weeks. We've gotten some rain daily, kind of kept the water levels fairly stable, but it's as far as the current, it's not bad at all. I'm paddling upstream. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't check the mileage on how far it is up to Bellamy Bridge, but it's not very far. Now the spring I'm wanting to go, I'll have to come back, and starting from the boat ramp, I believe it's right at 3 miles downstream. And also, I'm trying out another kayak today, so it's not the normal that I use. It's my brother-in-law brought some down last week and left them with me, so figured I'd try it out. It's just a lifetime kayak, but it's a fairly stable kayak and cuts through the water pretty good. So I appreciate that, Marshall. The Chipola is a fairly wide river, and there's not a lot of limbs and trees down in it that you can't get through. I'm about halfway to the bridge, and haven't encountered any issues. This river kind of reminds me a lot, which a lot of Florida rivers and creeks are similar up in, at least in northwest Florida Panhandle, due to just the color of the water. But it reminds me a lot of Wrights Creek. I spend a lot of time going up and down Wrights Creek, and it just resembles really more of a creek than it does a river. But that's just my opinion. It's pretty beautiful though. About the only thing I'm hearing out here on this Chipola are cicadas and the occasional helicopter. But man, them cicadas, they're something else. You know, sometimes it's hard to even do a video and talk out here because the cicadas are so loud, or cicadas, whatever you want to call them. Most rivers, like the ones I typically go down, like the Choctawhatchee, you get out on them, you really have no shade on them during the sunny days. The river is so wide, unless you stay right, even if you stay right up by the banks and paddle, you don't get a lot of shade. And in this 100-degree weather we've been having, you just get boiled and baked. I mean, it's tough to make it. You got to take a lot of breaks. And typically I don't care to go on the river when it's this hot. But now a creek, you know, you got a lot more overhang from limbs, a lot more shade in the majority of time. Now this river, it's not as wide as some, so you have something similar to what you would get on a creek. But even this river in the middle of the day when the sun's directly overhead can be a little difficult. There are some wider areas in it. We should be getting pretty close to our destination, the Bellamy Bridge. When we get closer, I'll fill you in on some of the details of the history behind this bridge, as well as the ghost story. Yes, the spooky ghost story behind this historic landmark. Y'all, I get to see some sights on the creeks and rivers and out on the water all the time, but I don't believe I get to see somebody's drawers hanging in the trees too often. I think that's the first time I've ever seen any. That might be my cue to get out of here. Just as I suspected, looks like we've got some trees in the water. But I believe we can get around them on the right-hand side. We'll just take it slow. This is one of those instances it's good to have a kayak or a canoe. we have finally reached Bellamy Bridge. Now really the only thing left of this bridge is the metal structure. All the wood's been gone for years. And there she is, y'all. The magnificent Bellamy Bridge. The haunted Bellamy Bridge. Now, you can access this by kayak, but you can also drive out here. And I'll try to remember to put a link in here about where you, if you prefer to drive out here and walk. I've never done it, but there's supposed to be a boardwalk or something, a trail, something. Don't know what kind of shape it is. I've heard good and bad things about it, but anyway, I'll try to do that. But here's what's left of the bridge. As you can see, there's no pilings underneath. It was more of a suspension type bridge. Well-built bridge too. Now this side of the bridge, this side of the bridge over here, that land has no trespassing signs on it. So that's private land. But this side you can access it. So there is a little walkway up here. And this is actually as far as you're supposed to go. There's the old bridge from this side. And the sign's still in pretty good shape, just needs to be put back up. But if you're interested in coming up here from the trailhead, Bellamy Bridge trailhead, if you follow the trail on out, it'll run into Highway 162. I don't know if there's anywhere to park out there, if you just have to park alongside of the road or anything like that. I don't really have time to take that trail back out. It looks to me like it might be about a mile, maybe. Could be less than that, I'm just estimating. But at least the grass has been cut back here. And the brush has been cut. But yeah, so this is Bellamy Bridge. So the story goes, there was a lady named Elizabeth Jane Bellamy, and she lived in Jackson County, and she died on May 11th, 1837. Now this bridge, the earliest bridge that was here, was actually built in 1840. And Bellamy Bridge, which is this one, was built in 1914 on the same site of the original bridge. Now the story, back to the story, when Miss Bellamy died, the story is that you can see her sometimes around this area in the floodplain and around this bridge and swamps. in search of her husband, Dr. Samuel Bellamy. Now, Samuel and Elizabeth were very much in love, and she died early as a young woman. And she promised, though, before that she would always love him forever and always. Well, he never recovered from her death, and through the next 15 years, he had a really hard time and mourned. And he eventually, on Christmas Day, 15 years later, he took his own life. His final wish prior to that was that he wanted to be buried next to Elizabeth. But since he had committed suicide, they wouldn't allow him to be buried in that cemetery that she was buried in. I'm assuming it was at a church or something. Police did not allow that because it was believed to be consecrated ground. And he had taken his own life. So he was buried miles away over in Chattahoochee, Florida, and that grave eventually has been lost to time. So we don't know exactly where in Chattahoochee, Florida, in that cemetery. According to the legend, Elizabeth's spirit came back at the same moment of Samuel's death. She had promised to love him forever and always, and it said that she is always walking the swamps around the Bellamy Bridge in search of him for over 160 years. Now, people say that her ghost has been reported in the form of unusual blue and white lights, a misty shadow, and some say there's even a faint form of a young woman dressed in white. Now, if you want to come to this location, again, I told you I would put this in the comments or in the video somewhere. So the Heritage Trail to walk to this from the highway is 4057 County Road 162, Marianna, Florida. And it's a free visit, open 365 days during daylight hours. So there you have it, folks. That's the story. Believe it or not, as they say on the television show, but that's the story. Hope you enjoyed this little history of Bellamy Bridge. And now we're going to jump back in the boat, and we're going to head back towards the boat ramp and possibly go a little further down, about 3 miles, and check out a spring. Well, we finally got back to our fork to get to the boat ramp, but I'm going to go ahead and head on down towards Baltville Springs is the name of this. It's on Google Maps, so I'm not giving away anything. I will not be giving coordinates or how to get there, though, so you find it, you'll figure it out on your own. So I had to take a detour, whatever, side road, side stream, because I got further down Chipola and there was a huge log jam, and it looks like I can go around it, going around this way. Oftentimes the river will do that. If there's a jam, it'll make a new way to go. And that looks kind of like what it's doing here. I don't know. But anyway, we had to take a shortcut or a long cut or whatever you want to call it. Well, I've come to my end. I am not going to be able to get to that spring. I probably could do it if I had a little more time. But there's just so many trees down on the way there. I was taking a cut through And when I got to a certain point, there was supposed to be another cut through, but it was just cypress knots and junk like that in it. I didn't know way I was gonna. It was just too shallow. And now I'm back out here to where the Chipola goes around and makes its curve. If I could get back on it, but there's trees everywhere right here. Just trees stacked on top of trees. And to be honest with you, it's 100 degrees out here. And to be honest with you, I just ain't feeling it right now. So there's another couple of ways to get around there, and I'm going to have to do that on another day. Unfortunately, I would love to go jump in a blue cold spring, but I'm not going to be able to jump in that one today. So if you were anticipating that, I'm sorry, and maybe we can do it next time. I think there's a way right here I can go around that log jam, but at this point I am tired. I have went different ways and had to turn around two or three times, and frankly I got to get back to the car. But so anyway, let's head on back. Well, I hope you enjoyed our trip down the Chipola River to look at Bellamy Bridge, and until next time, come back for more.